Inside a heavy industrial foundry, ambient noise levels continuously sit between 95 and 110 A-weighted decibels. For 28 years, this has been the daily working environment of a 52-year-old patient, Madame C. She presents to occupational medicine with a specific, progressive complaint. She has lost the ability to understand conversations, a deficit that becomes absolute in noisy environments. The secondary symptoms follow a specific pattern. She frequently asks her colleagues to repeat themselves. She turns the television up to a volume that frustrates her family, and she experiences a persistent bilateral tinnitus that peaks at the end of her shift. Her occupational history reveals a critical gap in protection. She worked her first 10 years with zero auditory protection, and she admits to wearing her employer-provided earplugs inconsistently because she feels they hinder communication on the floor. Madame C can register the raw volume of environmental sounds, like the television, yet the specific phonetic components of her grandchildren's speech remain unintelligible to her. The patient is placed in a soundproof booth for pure tone audiometry, the diagnostic gold standard used to map the specific frequency ranges of her hearing loss. This audiogram chart maps her hearing thresholds. The results show normal preservation for the low frequencies between 250 and 500 Hz. This preservation is why she can still hear the volume of a voice. Her ears are registering the fundamental acoustic energy of speech. But at exactly 4,000 Hz, the chart shows a precipitous drop. This is the C5 dip, commonly known as the notch. That 4 kHz band carries the high-pitched consonant sounds, the fricatives like F, S, and TH. Without these frequencies, distinct words dissolve into a collection of low-frequency vowels. This 4 kHz notch is the pathognomic signature of noise-induced hearing loss. It is the direct result of a structural vulnerability built into human acoustic anatomy. Looking at this cross-section of the outer ear, the destruction at 4 kHz begins before the sound wave even strikes the eardrum. The ear canal acts as a physical resonator. It naturally amplifies incoming frequencies between 2 and 5 kHz, adding 10 to 15 decibels of acoustic energy directly into that specific band. That amplified wave travels into the inner ear, striking the cochlea, a fluid-filled, tonotopically mapped spiral. This 3D model shows the cochlea unrolled. Different sound frequencies physically vibrate distinct sections of the basilar membrane, mapped along its length like piano keys. For 4,000 Hz, the point of maximum vibrational energy lands squarely at the second cochlear turn. Anatomically, this second turn is hemodynamically vulnerable. It receives the poorest local blood supply of the entire structure. The combination of the ear canal's natural resonance, funneling highly amplified energy into a poorly vascularized zone, creates a localized site for destruction at 4 kHz. Zooming into the microscopic level of that second turn, we find the outer hair cells, topped with delicate hair bundles called stereocilia. When high-amplitude sound waves exceeding 85 decibels strike, they inflict pure mechanical trauma. The sheer force causes the tiny connective tip links between the stereocilia to physically snap. Under this extreme physical deflection, the cells go limp, instantly severing their mechanical transduction ability. But the mechanical tearing is followed by a secondary, delayed metabolic damage. Continuous intense noise generates a massive influx of reactive oxygen species, free radicals, flooding the intracellular space of the cochlear tissue. This high level of oxidative stress triggers a chemical cascade at the neural synapse, resulting in glutamate excitotoxicity. Excitotoxicity is an overwhelming flood of neurotransmitters. The receptors are continuously overstimulated until the cellular machinery completely fails. The ultimate biological consequence of this chemical overload is apoptosis. The outer hair cells execute programmed cell death. They physically shrink and die off, and they will never return. The 4 kHz notch on Madame C's audiogram is a graveyard map. It marks the exact location of outer hair cells permanently destroyed by mechanical force and toxic chemical overload. This raises a critical medico-legal question. How can we distinguish this 52-year-old hearing loss from presbytusis, the natural deterioration of hearing due to age? These side-by-side audiograms show the distinction. Natural aging creates a smooth, downward-sloping curve affecting all high frequencies uniformly. In contrast, the patient's chart drops at 4,000, but recovers at 8,000 Hz. That upward recovery completes the V-notch, the definitive indicator of acoustic trauma. Both conditions can coexist in older workers, requiring precise audiometric mapping to accurately validate occupational health claims. To catch this damage early, clinicians use otoacoustic emissions, or OAE testing. OAEs detect the specific absence of outer hair cell function at 4 kHz, long before the patient fails a standard pure tone test. By the time the notch visibly appears on a standard audiogram, the cellular death is already massive and irreversible. OAEs are the only method capable of catching subclinical damage in time. Unlike birds, adult human cochlear hair cells possess no regenerative capacity. Once apoptosis occurs, the hearing loss is permanent. There is no surgical intervention or current medication that can reverse it. Because there is no cure, clinical management relies on a strict mathematical framework of prevention, governed by OSHA and European directives. This gauge shows the critical baseline threshold. 85 decibels is the absolute maximum safe exposure limit for an 8-hour workday. The decibel scale is logarithmic. An increase of just 3 decibels represents a doubling of acoustic energy. So if the noise rises to 88 decibels, the safe exposure time is cut in half, to 4 hours. This is the 3 decibel exchange rule. Every subsequent 3 decibel increase halves the remaining safe time. In the Foundry, Madam C was exposed to 100 decibels. At that level, her safe daily exposure limit was exhausted in just 15 minutes. For the remaining 7 hours and 45 minutes of her shift, adding up to nearly 28 hours every single week for 28 years, she was actively accumulating irreversible cellular damage. When evaluated on medical board exams, the most appropriate management protocol is the immediate reduction or cessation of noise exposure. Individual protective equipment like heavy-duty earmuffs or custom plugs must be properly fitted and worn continuously. Removing them for even a few minutes allows those massive logarithmic energy spikes to strike the cochlea. Legally, noise-induced hearing loss must be declared as an occupational disease. This triggers mandatory triennial screenings and forces collective prevention plans at the worksite. While hearing aids can improve speech discrimination in noisy environments, they are purely compensatory prosthetics. They do not repair the underlying anatomy. For clinical exams, remember the high-yield mnemonic, noise. N represents the notch at 4 kHz. O reminds us that OAEs are absent early on. I stands for irreversible damage. S indicates the safe threshold of 85 decibels over 8 hours. And E stands for evade noise and use equipment. In occupational audiology, we cannot heal the ear. Our only treatment is time, distance, and shielding against the physics of sound.